Hello folks, only me. Well, I've gone and bought a sports Yamaha moped, and I've wanted one for a few years actually. I was going to buy one about 3.5 years ago I think, but the prices were crazy, even for a bit shabby ones like this one, and so I ended up buying a Honda. But this one turned up, and it's been sat in a shed for 42 years, and the chap who owned it passed away, and when they're doing the house clearance, a guy bought it and basically just got it running. He's done a few little jobs on it, and then sold it on for someone like me to fully restore it. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to give it a good service, start using it and see what she's running like, whether the engine needs work or not. It might do, and just see what we got. So it's a 1976 FS1E DX, the D being for disc brake. I think it was the first one that had a disc brake fitted. So it's not original, it's been messed about with. It works out that it was probably on the road for about 5 years. I think it must have had a bit of a hard life. It's got some paint on the tank, which isn't original. For some reason the saddle's not the original one. I don't quite know why that is. And the thing for me that really shows is the handlebars. They're not the original ones. For one thing, they're far too wide, and also they've got this bar across there, the crossbar, which would have been on the original FS1Es. But on the ones with the disc brakes, they removed that bar so you could fit this caliper unit and move it in, because otherwise it was going to foul. This one doesn't. This one fits okay, but if it was an original FS1E bar, it'd have to be right up here. So this is further out than it should be, and hence you can see it's pulling on there, on that headlamp bracket. So we've got some bars on order from Yam Bits and some other bits and bobs as well. But I bought it as a runner. I did go have a go on it. It seems to pull all right. There's one problem, and that's when the chap bought it, who did a little bit of work on it, the front brake was seized up. So he's put new seals in it, and in the caliper, and also the reservoir and the slave cylinder, or the other way around, whatever that is. Yeah, that's not a slave cylinder, is it? That's the master cylinder. So this, I'll have to get all this painted because it looks a bit shite. So he's done that, but when I spun the wheel, I thought, well, that's a bit difficult to turn. It really is. It's dragging, and from what I can make out, it's a single cylinder caliper, which is on here, and that pad in there is rubbing on this side of the disc. So I'm gonna have a look at that. I think it probably just needs a shim in here. If that pad, which is probably an aftermarket part, is a bit thick, then I would have thought by shimming, you can either take a little bit off the pad on some emery board, or if you were to shim the caliper there, just enough to bring this over, it should free it up. So that's my first job anyway. So back to the bike. It's a few little bits about it. It's got, the tyres are going to have to be changed, and the back tyre, they've got plenty of tread on them, but some of they're perishing a bit, and sidewalls, and I think the back tyre's too big anyway. Looks too fat. I think that this is too wide. It's a 3-inch. I meant to measure that actually. I think it should be a 2.5 maybe. But I've got the proper tyres coming from Yam Bit, so don't have to worry about that too much. The mudguard has got corrosion on it because it's the there's some reinforcement bits behind, and you used to get the old salt in there, and so it's not unusual for those to bubble up. This bracket here with a light and registration plate look a bit grubby, but that'll soon tidy up, get some silver paint on there. I think the airbox was the same, but the chap who had it before me's painted that. So we do a similar sort of thing. I'm not going for concourse, not yet. I just want to get it running and enjoy it, and then see what we got, and who knows, in a few years time maybe go a bit mad on it. It's got locking for the cap, that must have been an extra. Another extra when it was bought new was these are chromed. I can't find any photographs on the internet of chromed headlamp brackets. So I shall probably, they're all black, and because the chrome's gone off and it's so expensive getting things re-chromed these days, I shall probably rub these down, take them off the bike, rub them down, paint them black. And when I've got it all apart, I shall T-cut the headlight, clean these up as much as I can, just generally tidy it up a bit. I've just noticed that there. I wonder if that's supposed to have a reflector in it. I'll have to look that up on the internet, because quite often you have the reflectors. I think that could be right, actually. So there's a tax disc, and we believe that's when it was last used. It's not on the DVLA database anymore. So yeah, I really do believe that's the last time it's legally used on the road anyway. At some point the cylinder head looks like it's been, well, taken off and cleaned. It's had a few little jobs on it when it was on the road. This is chrome, can't understand why, because that should be just painted this colour, silver, with a hole in there for adjusting the clutch apparently. So I may look for a used one of these on eBay. The pedals have been put on because apparently the chap who had it before just had foot pegs on it, so it's missing the chain for making the pedal mechanism work, and the sprocket on the other side. Apparently all the linkage inside is there. We'll have to look at that. And the chap who had it before me bought these little pedals, which I didn't think these were Fizzy at all, but he said some of the later models did have those, but he couldn't get the pedals. I've ordered some pedals because to me it looks daft with them on, because well, it's supposed to have pedals at the end of the day. So that's that. It's got a new battery in it. It needs new battery tray and a strap, which I've ordered. Looking around here, you know, you've got rust. We don't mind a bit of rust as long as it's tidy. I think this silencer would probably have been the same colour as this. It's just because it's been sat in the dry shed, but you still get damp. And it buggers these things over the years. But I'm hoping to clean this exhaust up. I don't want to spend too much money on it at the moment. And of course, the good thing is this is all original spec, I believe. So he's changed the mud guard. That's a pattern part made in Taiwan or somewhere. They're not very nice. You can see the spot welds and everything. But the other one, I've got the original one here. It's a bit beaten about. They've got corrosion. But we'll keep that. Some people repair these things, get them re-chromed, and they're worth having on a Fizzy because they're original. That's the thing. There was a big mud flap on the back. I took that straight off. One thing, because it was on the back of my car, I didn't want it flapping around on the way home. But also, it looked dreadful. And there's a little Yamaha disc there that goes on the caliper. I'll get that restuck on and I'll tidy up the caliper. Can't think of much else to say now, apart from I'll be doing a few jobs on it and seeing where we go. A lot of it's just cleaning it up, changing the tyres and inner tubes, generally giving it a bit of a service, and changing those bars, getting bloody things off. But the first job will be having a look at that caliper, so we can get that front wheel spinning better. So there we go. I'm going to do a few videos on it and update them onto YouTube as and when. Okay folks, thanks for watching. Well, we're back again. This is about 10 minutes later, quarter of an hour later. I thought I'd have a look at this, where this brake's rubbing, and it all becomes clear. So basically, the caliper sits on this arm, which slides. Makes sense. I thought it'd have to, otherwise you wouldn't get even pressure on the pad, and that's all seized up. So I shall be spending a bit of time WD-40 in that. I might have to take it off the bike, in which case I'll have to bleed it all again, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, it's all a bit of a learning curve, this bike, to me. So I'm pleased to find that. So I was talking about shims, and I was thinking about it, thinking, well, if that was the case, you wouldn't, you know, the pad would wear only on one side. But this all makes sense now. That's brilliant. So I'm pleased about that. And I did actually, in your absence, see if it would start. I only ever saw it start once. Started first kick. I could probably give it a bit of a demo now while I'm on the video. I'll just, that should be right there. So I'll pop you back in the stand. I'll go for a start up of the little Yamaha. So we've got some fuel. And choke on. The early chokes used to be up here, but these later ones, it was down here. Bit of ignition. Too straight. We love it. Right, that's it for now, folks.